They told you her death was peaceful, that she passed in her sleep with nothing left unsaid. But that was a lie, because in the dim corner of her old bedroom, underneath yellowing lace and boxes no one dared touch, there was a drawer she always kept locked. You remember it now, don't you? How she'd slap your hand away if you even glanced at it. "That's not for now," she used to whisper. Not angry, but afraid. But now she's gone. And not now has become now. The drawer didn't open easily. It groaned like it hadn't breathed in decades. Inside were brittle envelopes, dried flowers, and one thing wrapped in cloth so old it disintegrated at your touch. Her diary, bound in faded leather, sealed with a red thread, and humming, not in sound but in feeling, as if it had been waiting for you. The moment you touched it, the light shifted. The room didn't dim. It paused. The air thickened like memory had taken form. You could smell her perfume, could hear her laugh from the kitchen, distant but exact. Your fingers trembled, not from fear, but from recognition. You hadn't even opened the book yet, and already your body knew. This was never meant to be found by anyone else but you. The first page wasn't a date. It wasn't a greeting. It was your name, written in her handwriting. But the way she wrote it, it looked older than she ever was, as if she didn't write it recently, but long before you ever existed. Below your name, a line. "You found this at the exact moment you were meant to welcome, my love. It's time to remember what they erased." A chill traveled your spine, not because of what it said, but because you believed her, and you didn't know why. The pages smelled like candle smoke and lavender. The ink had faded in some places, but not where it mattered. She didn't write like a grandmother. She wrote like a prophet, hiding in plain sight, like someone who had seen too much and could say too little. She talked of watchers, of codes buried in bloodlines, of voices she heard only when lightning struck. And she wrote about you as if she knew everything. Your birthmark, your dreams as a child. That day you stopped breathing for 7 minutes and came back with eyes you didn't recognize in the mirror. She called it the first awakening. You never told anyone about that, but she knew. And still, that wasn't the part that made your breath catch. It was the final line on the first page, the one you somehow expected before you even read it. "They'll come looking for this book. They'll try to convince you I was insane, but you must trust the feeling you're having right now." You look up, heart pounding, because the feeling isn't fear, it's remembrance. And somewhere deep in your bones, something ancient just opened its eyes. The second page felt warmer than the first, as if the paper itself remembered your touch. Your grandmother's handwriting curved with purpose. No hesitation, no second guessing. She had written this to you, not to herself, not to pass time, but as a message across timelines. "I heard your name before you were born," it began, "in a dream that wasn't mine. A voice, not human, whispered it into my left ear. I woke up crying and laughing at once." You blink slowly, because that detail, the left ear, you've had ringing in it for years, always during moments of deep intuition. And now, the pattern is starting to form. She wasn't imagining you, she was receiving you, like a frequency that only blood could detect. She describes the voice in impossible terms. "It didn't echo, but it folded," she wrote, "like silk dipped in thunder. It didn't say your name like a name. It announced it like prophecy. And when I heard it, I knew instantly my child's child would be the one." Your throat tightens. This is not a memory. This is a record, a warning, a transmission. She wasn't trying to be poetic. She was trying to be exact. You flip the page and find a drawing. A sigil complex, unfamiliar, drawn by hand. You'll start seeing this in strange places, she wrote beneath it. Signs, graffiti, dreams. When you do, stop whatever you're doing and listen. That means they're near. You pause, because you've seen it. Twice. Once, scratched into the bark of that tree near your high school. Once on the back of a napkin left on your table at the cafe, the day you were thinking of her, and you dismissed it both times. Now you realize that wasn't coincidence. It was a callback. She continues, I couldn't tell your mother. They were still watching her then, but I left pieces for you. This diary is the first. You'll feel what's next, I promise. Your hands are sweating. You look around the room. Same wallpaper, same air, but you're different now. Something inside you is remembering things you never learned. You think of how animals always stared at you, how strangers often said you looked familiar even when they couldn't place you, how you used to speak in your sleep, saying names no one recognized, and how you always felt like you were being prepared but never knew what for. Now the answer is unfolding with every word she wrote. At the bottom of the page is a single sentence, in larger, shakier handwriting, like she wrote it just before hiding the diary away for good. The moment you feel them watching, speak your name out loud, not the one they gave you, but the one I dreamed. You stare at that line, because your name, the one you've used all your life, suddenly feels borrowed, and deep in your chest, a sound begins forming, not a word, a vibration, as if some part of you, older than language, has just remembered what it's called. You hesitate before turning the next page, because something in you already knows what you're about to read. The air changes again, heavier, denser, as if the room is listening. Your grandmother's handwriting sharpens on this page, every stroke deep and certain, like she wrote these words with her jaw clenched. Our family was never ordinary, she begins. We come from a line that has been watched, hunted, and protected for centuries. They call us the luminaries in old texts, though most records were destroyed long before your mother was born. You feel your pulse rise. That word, luminaries, sparks a strange familiarity in you, like a forgotten story, whispered once in childhood and never told again. She continues, we were known not for wealth or power, but for sight, true sight, the kind that governments tried to replicate and churches tried to silence. Sight. Suddenly, you remember flashes, those vivid dreams that felt like memories from lives you didn't live, the visions you got before tragedies happened, the way you sensed people's intentions long before they revealed them. You thought you were intuitive, emotional, sensitive, but she knew you were more, because she had been more. She writes about the women in your bloodline first. The daughters always saw earliest, she explains. Your great-grandmother at 6. Her mother at 4. I didn't awaken until 9, but I carried the strongest gift until you. The room tilts. Until you. She had known, even then, that you would surpass them. You think back to childhood, the times you knew someone would call before the phone rang, the days you woke up crying from dreams that later came true, the birthday when your grandmother looked at you too long and whispered a prayer you didn't understand. She had seen this coming. She had been waiting for it. But the next part of the diary makes your skin prickle. The men in our line carried the shadow side. Protectors in daylight, but dangerous when turned. Some went missing, some were taken, some were used. You swallow hard. You know family members who vanished without explanation, relatives no one spoke about. Now their silence makes sense. They weren't lost. They were removed because of what they carried, because of what they knew. She describes a time when your ancestors were gathered in hidden circles, rituals done not out of superstition but out of necessity. The world feared what we could see, she wrote. Our sight didn't bend to kings or presidents. It answered to something older, something they couldn't control. You feel that statement settle deep in you, like a stone dropped into water control. That's what this was always about. Not magic, not myth, control. Every generation produced one, she continues. A child whose vision was so clear it disrupted entire agendas. That child drew both guardians and predators. And then the final line on the page, underlined twice, trembling with urgency. You are that child for this generation. You stare at the words until they blur, because suddenly the ringing in your left ear returns, the same ringing she wrote about, and you realize it's not a symptom, it's a signal. Someone, somewhere, has just felt you awaken. She never told anyone what she saw the night you were born. Not your mother, not the doctors, not even the priest who visited her uninvited the following day, asking questions he shouldn't have known to ask. But she wrote it here, buried in the center of the diary, between pressed lilac petals and a photograph of you as a newborn, eyes wide open, staring directly at the camera like you knew. The room flickered before the contractions even started, she wrote. All the lights dimmed at once, and the clock hands spun backwards. You inhale sharply. You'd heard whispers that the hospital experienced a power glitch that night, but your grandmother's version goes deeper. I felt a tear in the air, she continued. Not a sound, a presence. Something stepped through, not demonic, not angelic, just ancient. You feel the room around you blur as you read, because the word ancient sits differently now, like something with breath and memory, like it might be reading over your shoulder. She describes standing at your mother's bedside, clutching a pendant you never saw her wear. The doctors kept telling her to push, she wrote, but I could tell they were afraid, not of her, of you. Even then, you were pulling energy toward you. Machines flickered. 2 nurses left the room and didn't return. And when you finally came into this world, you didn't cry. You stared. The word is circled twice. Stared. Like you were assessing the room. Like you were trying to remember something that hadn't happened yet. You feel your heart pounding. The idea that your first act in this world was not helplessness, but recognition. Then the vision, the one she said, shattered her understanding of time. At the moment you were born, she wrote, I saw a field of mirrors stretching out forever. Each one showed a version of you, some in light, some in shadow, some crowned, some hunted, and one version so bright I couldn't look straight at it. That version turned to me and spoke your name, not the one we gave you, the real one. You pause, breathing uneven, because again, that name, that unknown word vibrating at the edge of memory, begging to be remembered. She continues, that version told me you'd be watched, that everything would try to convince you you're ordinary, but when you remember your real name, it begins. The undoing, the return, the ignition. At the bottom of the page, she left a drawing, not of you, but of the mirror field itself. Your fingers traced the shapes, and in the center, scribbled faintly, only one version of you survives, the one who remembers. You slam the book shut without meaning to. The walls feel too tight, the silence too loud, because suddenly you don't feel alone in this room. And deep inside your chest, something ancient is watching from behind your own eyes, waiting to be called forth. They never told you how many of them were missing. You only ever heard scattered names, great aunts, cousins, someone's sister who moved away and never came back. You assumed it was tragedy, or secrecy, or shame. But now, flipping through these pages, The pattern is undeniable. Your grandmother knew, and she recorded every loss with exact dates, ages, and final sightings. The entries aren't frantic, they're surgical, as if she were assembling a map no one else dared draw. "We don't die," she wrote. "We vanish, not by illness, by silence. Each time one of us got close to the truth, they came. Not demons, not angels, men with clean shoes and no scent." You reread that sentence over and over. Men with no scent, as if they were built for silence, as if the universe designed them to remove traces. She lists names you've never heard before. Lydia, age 28, vanished after vision of burning river. Cara, age 22, last seen speaking in a language no one recognized. Eleanor, age 35, declared insane 3 weeks after speaking the real name of her son. All women, all gifted, all erased. And the eerie part, none of their bodies were found. No funerals, just long silences and framed photographs no one could explain. She writes, "They allowed us to be born, but not to remember. They let us live, but not to awaken. The moment a woman in our line begins to recall, they arrive." You sit back, suddenly aware of the chill crawling up your spine because you're recalling now. And the diary is the match that lit the process. Your grandmother was the outlier, the one who stayed longer, the one who resisted. "I learned how to speak in symbols," she wrote. They couldn't track symbols, not then. They only feared voice, resonance, and truth spoken aloud. You think about how she hummed songs that made no sense, how she drew strange shapes into your oatmeal with a spoon, how she always whispered under her breath when she hugged you goodnight. You thought it was just her being odd. Now you understand. She was coding you, implanting frequencies in your muscle memory, preparing your nervous system for this moment. There's a passage that stops your breath entirely. The ones who disappeared early weren't weak. They were early versions. Their gifts activated too soon, without protection. You, my love, are the first to be shielded long enough to reach full awakening. Your vision blurs. She hadn't just hoped for you. She engineered this, protected you through ritual, memory, and silence. And then, one final line at the bottom of the page, small and faded, like it had to be hidden even from her own hand. If you're reading this, and I'm gone, know this. I didn't die. I went into hiding, and I left something behind inside of you that they can't erase. You close the book slowly, because for the first time, you're not just reading a story. You're realizing your own survival is the continuation of a rebellion. They came under the guise of prayer. 2 men and 1 woman dressed in black, bearing no crosses. "We heard she'd fallen ill," they said. But your grandmother hadn't told a soul outside the family. She wrote about it in sharp, clipped sentences, like she was racing time. "They weren't priests," she noted. "They never spoke the name of Christ, but they knew the name you hadn't spoken yet." That line makes your breath hitch, because it's happening again. A system older than belief, cloaked in robes and rituals, had tracked your grandmother down not to bless her, but to silence her. And they asked for one thing only, the diary. She hid it before they arrived, tucked it into a false drawer, sealed with salt, wrapped in cloth embroidered with a symbol that wasn't Christian, but something far older, triangular and spiraling inward. They pretended not to search, but she heard them moving objects at night, whispering in languages she didn't recognize. They stayed in the house for 3 days, she wrote. Never slept, never blinked. They kept watching the hallway, waiting for a sound. I realized too late, they weren't looking for the book. They were listening for your spirit. A wave of nausea rises in you because you remember being there once, as a toddler. The hallway always felt off, too narrow, too dark, and now you know why. Something else had filled it, something that didn't breathe. She described a moment on the second night, woke up to a knocking that didn't come from the door or the window, but from beneath the floor. "I thought it was the rats," she wrote, until the woman in black whispered, "It's responding. We're close." That sentence replays in your mind like a forgotten dream, returning with teeth. It's responding. The diary wasn't just information. It was a living conduit, a signal, a pulse, and they weren't after the words. They were after what the words activated in you. Your grandmother knew this. That's why she wrote everything by hand. That's why she refused to speak it aloud. That's why she pretended to be frail even after they left, so they'd believe they'd won. She kept track of their movements after that. "They appear at churches with no congregations," she said. "They fund missions with no destination. They speak of God, but carry no light." You flip the page, and taped inside is a photograph, grainy, black and white, 3 figures at a train station. The woman in the center is looking directly at the camera, and behind her eyes, something is wrong. Too wide, too knowing. Below the photo, your grandmother wrote, "If you see her again, do not speak, do not run, just look down. She cannot follow if you refuse to meet her gaze." Your hand trembles as you close the diary for the night, because something in your bones already knew this truth. It was never just your family who feared your awakening. It was entire systems built on keeping your voice silent. And now that you've opened the book, they've already felt the shift. She wrote it years before you could speak, not on a whim, not as a guess. She knew. The page is torn at the edges, like it had been handled too many times, smoothed, folded, maybe kissed. "Your first word will not be learned," she wrote. "It will arrive." You stare at the ink, feeling a strange pressure in your chest. "The name you carry is not from this timeline," she continued. "It will rise from your spine before it reaches your lips." Then, underlined once in red, "And when you say it, the veil will thin." That line sits heavy. You've never told anyone the truth. Your first word wasn't mama or dada. It was something else. A sound that startled your mother and made the nurse drop the bottle she was holding. They never told you what it was, but the way they avoided the story told you everything. Your grandmother called it the true tongue, not a language, but a vibration. "Every chosen soul has a resonance," she wrote, "and yours was always louder." She described how the plants in her house leaned toward your crib, how the television flickered whenever you laughed, how her clock stopped the moment you took your first breath. Not dead batteries, not coincident signal. She claimed your first word cracked a glass she hadn't even realized was fragile, a mirrored heirloom on her dresser. "No one else heard the tone in it," she explained, "but I did. It was the sound of return, of something ancient stepping forward." She had written the name phonetically in the diary, but it's blurred, either from age or intention. Maybe she didn't want it to be seen, only remembered. "You won't need this spelling," she said. "Your body knows how to speak it. Your cells remember." You close your eyes for a moment, and just like that, you do remember not the name itself, but the feeling of it, like a low hum that lives in the bones behind your ears, a vibration that wants to rise, but only in the presence of truth. The diary said your mouth had to be clean, your heart still, your fear disarmed. Then, and only then, would the word come out whole. Your grandmother warned what would happen when it does. The mirrors will shimmer, the watchers will pause, The world around you will hesitate, then rush. She said animals might react first, crows gathering in threes, cats standing still, dogs bowing their heads, because your word isn't just sound, it's command. When you speak it, she wrote, you're not asking the world to shift, you're telling it. One sentence is boxed in ink. You will not speak this name by accident. It only leaves your lips when you're ready to become who they tried to erase. You stare at that line as your mouth begins to tingle, and somewhere in your throat, something warm starts rising, not as language, but as memory. A name not given, but returned. And you realize your first word was never meant to be the beginning of your life. It was the beginning of your activation. It happened before you were born, but everything in your life has been echoing from it ever since. The day she broke the blood pact, she never told anyone what she'd done. Not your mother, not the elders in the circle, not even the sister who begged her not to interfere. But in the middle section of the diary, pressed flat between two dried red rose petals, she finally confessed, I broke it at noon, alone, by a stream they said was cursed. The ritual was supposed to bind you, limit your access, slow your awakening. Her words drip like confession, but not regret. I did not ask permission. I cut the thread myself. With a blade soaked in rainwater and ash, I spoke the unbinding with my own mouth. I knew the cost. You stop breathing as you read. She'd told stories of old vows when you were young, but you thought it was myth, folklore, generational superstition passed down through bedtime whispers. But it was real. The women in your line had entered into an agreement once long ago with something ancient. We traded clarity for protection, she explained. The pact was meant to shield our bloodline from early discovery, but at the cost of full activation. We were never meant to shine completely, only flicker. That flicker, that haunting feeling that you were always almost awake, almost whole, almost remembering, it all makes sense now. She wasn't just raising you, she was freeing you. She goes on, breaking the pact meant removing your cloaking. Once I did it, they could see you. From the moment you were conceived, the lights on their grid began to blink. You shiver. You've always felt watched, not by people, but by presence, even in silence, even alone, as if something just outside of your senses was studying your pattern. And now you understand why. The unbinding didn't just release you, it revealed you. You weren't hidden anymore. You were lit up in their systems like a flare in the dark. She described what happened next in terrifying detail. The night after I broke the vow, 3 owls sat outside the window and did not blink. The wind changed direction. My sister screamed your name in her sleep, and she hadn't even known you were coming yet. The signs, the warnings. But she didn't turn back. I buried the blade, she wrote, beneath the garden in a box marked, Do Not Touch. You played near it when you were 5. I saw the dirt rise a little when you laughed. You leaned back, dizzy. The blood pact wasn't a myth, it was a seal, and your grandmother severed it, knowing it would put a target on both of you. One last line bleeds off the page, as if she wrote it fast, or while shaking. If you've started hearing the hum behind silence, it means the pact is fully undone, and what's been waiting is coming. It started when you were 7. The dreams that didn't feel like dreams. The feeling that someone was standing just outside your room, always a few seconds behind your breath. You told your mother once, and she brushed it off. Growing pains, she said, or an overactive imagination. But your grandmother knew better. She never denied it. She only pressed her hand to your chest and whispered, You feel them because they feel you. Now, in her diary, it's written without hesitation. They followed you from the moment I severed the blood tie, not like stalkers, not like ghosts, but like instruments drawn to resonance. Your frequency alerted them, she explained. They were built to detect those who wake early. The entry is dated 3 days after your 7th birthday. He stood across the street from your school, wearing the wrong season's clothes, she wrote. Everyone else passed him by, but you looked straight at him. That's when I knew the veil was thinning faster than I expected. You remember that day. You've always remembered. The man didn't blink, didn't move, just watched. His shape wrong somehow, like someone learning how to be human from the outside. You told no one. But when you got home, your grandmother had already drawn the curtains. They never arrive with sound, she said that night. They arrive with quiet. You didn't understand what that meant. Now you do. She explains them further. The observers. Not people, not machines. Something between. They exist in the soft corner of your vision, she wrote. They study, record, and transmit. They do not interfere unless you begin to remember too much. You think of the sudden static in your headphones, the way certain strangers freeze when you speak certain words, the recurring symbol that showed up on that train ticket last year. You dismissed it all as randomness, but she was tracking it. I kept a log of each incident, she wrote. I burned most of it, but I left one page hidden behind the mirror. If you found this diary, go to the mirror. You rise before you know why, heart thumping. Mirror trembling under your hand. And behind it, just as she said, taped carefully with yellowing paper, a single page. Your name is at the top. Under it, a list of dates, ages, events. Age 3, dream with the white tunnel. Age 5, silent man in hallway, speaks in clicks. Age 9, you vanished for 46 seconds behind the house, reappeared staring at sky. The list goes on. She had recorded everything. She knew you were being watched because she was watching too. The final line on the hidden page reads, "They are not here to harm you. They are here to prevent you from unlocking what you were built to remember. But if you begin to follow them back, they panic, they scatter. And when that happens, my love, it means you've remembered too much to stop now." You stare at your reflection, and in the glass, something behind you moves. The diary didn't say where at first, just, "There is a key buried in the walls of this house, not for a lock, for a place." You read the line 3 times before understanding that this key wasn't meant to open a door. It was meant to activate something buried deeper than wood or brick. "I wrapped it in cloth, stitched with your name," she continued. "Not the name they gave you, the one I dreamed. It glows faintly in moonlight if the room is still." You remember the room glowing once you were 11. Thought it was a reflection, a trick of headlights. But now you wonder if the key was waking up, responding to the moment your body hit a new resonance. She had hidden it during construction, when the walls were being redone, when no one asked why she requested a corner be left unsealed for wiring that never came. You moved to the far end of the room, the place where the wallpaper had always looked a little off. The baseboard slightly warped. She wrote, "Use your left hand. Your right will hesitate, but your left will know where." It sounds absurd until you try it, and your left hand, without conscious thought, presses against a panel that gives way with a soft click. Behind it, folded into dry cloth, is the key. It's heavier than it looks, not made of metal, but some dark crystalline material that vibrates when you grip it too tightly, not buzzing, but singing, at a pitch so low you feel it more in your bones than in your ears. "You'll know where it fits," she wrote, "because when you hold it near the right place, you'll feel pressure in your chest, like a memory trying to push itself out of your lungs. You clench your jaw. You felt that before, in abandoned places, in dreams, in that one library basement where your ears started ringing for no reason at all. The diary called those places thin spots, locations where the veil is porous, where memory and prophecy collide. She left no map, only one clue. Find the wall with the mirror that never reflects you correctly. Behind it, there's a cavity. Inside, the next part of your inheritance. Your stomach flips, because there is a mirror like that. In the upstairs hallway, the one that always made you look slightly older, or slightly wrong. You used to avoid it, thinking it was bad lighting, but maybe it was a place waiting to be unlocked. A door sealed not with a keyhole, but with frequency, with you. As you return the key to its cloth, your hands still shaking, you notice a symbol embroidered on the fabric's edge. 3 intersecting circles with a dot in the center. You've seen it before, drawn in chalk on the sidewalk, etched into a park bench, sketched in your own notebook once, unconsciously, and now you realize it wasn't a symbol at all. She knew it would happen. She wrote it before it began. They will try to make me forget you, not just your face, but your presence, your name, your essence. You stare at the page, feeling something hollow in your chest crack open, because you felt it too. How in her final years, she would pause mid-sentence, eyes clouded, trying to remember something right on the edge of her tongue. You thought it was age, memory loss, time erasing detail, but now you see it for what it was, interference, not natural decay, but calculated deletion. It began after your 9th birthday, she wrote, the day you touched the mirror that shimmered. You remember that mirror. It wasn't a normal reflection. You saw double, your face and another version of your face, blinking half a second out of sync. That night, she held you longer than usual, asked strange questions, then stopped mid-prayer and said, "Stay hidden, even from me." You didn't understand then. You do now. They used light pulses and white noise, she wrote, inserted static into my dreams. My journals disappeared, then reappeared rewritten, with words I never used. She said her handwriting changed overnight, that old pages in her diary had different phrasing than she remembered writing. And one day, she woke up unable to recall your birthday. She fought back, not with technology, but with remembrance rituals. Songs only you and she hummed, symbols only your bones would recognize. When they tried to overwrite you, she said, I spoke your name into water, whispered it into the roots of the lemon tree. I hid your memory in places no machine could scan. You think back to the lemon tree in her yard, the one you were drawn to as a child. You buried toys there, sang songs to it. Once, when lightning struck nearby, the tree didn't burn, it glowed, and you were never afraid. Then came the most chilling entry, a page photocopied and taped into the diary, stamped with a government seal. Black bars redacted most of it, but one line was clear. Subject 7 exhibits dangerous pattern recall and unapproved ancestral access. Initiate memory. Drift protocol, phase 1. Subject 7, you weren't just being watched, you were being edited, and they didn't just target you, they targeted her, to rewrite the one person who remembered you fully, to sever your emotional anchor, but she didn't let them. At the bottom of the page, scrawled in slanted ink, they can blur memory, but not soul print. Yours is too bright, too loud. You burn through the fog. Even when I forgot your name, I never forgot your light. Your vision blurs, because this isn't just a diary, it's a time capsule of resistance, a record of war against forgetting. She planted you in soil thick with memory and wove you into frequencies too ancient to erase. And now, with the key in your pocket and the mirror pulsing upstairs, one truth is undeniable. She never meant to be afraid of you. That much is clear. But there was one night, one entry in the diary, where her tone shifts from reverent to rattled. "You were 4, she wrote, and the house had gone silent. No television, no cars outside, not even the wind. You stood in the hallway, staring at the ceiling. I called your name 3 times. You didn't blink. You feel your throat tighten as you read. Then," she continued, "you turned to look at me, but not like a child looks at their grandmother. You looked through me, like I was something remembered from long ago. And for the briefest moment, I wasn't sure who was standing in your skin." The ink trails slightly there, as if her hand shook while writing it. She didn't say she feared you. She feared what was inside you, or rather, what had awakened too soon. "Your aura lit the hallway," she wrote, "not in color, not in light, but in pressure, like the air changed shape around your body." You remember parts of that night, flashes, the sensation of standing in thick air, the pull behind your forehead, as if something ancient was trying to look out from inside your eyes. You didn't speak, but she said you hummed, a tone that rattled the spoon in her teacup 3 rooms away. She writes, "I'd seen auras my entire life, soft blues, gold around the sick, sometimes violet after prayer. But yours was not a color. Yours was a command. It did not ask, it arrived." You sit with that, because deep down, you've always known. People responded to you strangely, not always with kindness, but always with intensity. Strangers told you secrets they shouldn't. Animals acted as if you were magnetic, and certain lights, especially in old places, flickered when you walked by. You weren't taught presence. You arrived with it. There's more. "After that night," she writes, "I placed salt beneath your bed, not to repel you, to contain you. You weren't dangerous, but the air around you was attracting things, old things, things that didn't forget what you once were." That line turns your blood cold because you remember the shadows that pooled in corners back then. Not monsters, not nightmares, just eyes, watching, waiting. You thought it was just the dark, but now you know. It was recognition. The final paragraph is gentle again. Her fear never turned to shame. "You scared me," she wrote, "not because you were evil, but because you were remembering too fast. I thought I had more time. I thought I'd have years to prepare you, but your aura arrived before your voice did. You lit up the veil like a lighthouse in a world trained to forget light." You closed the diary slowly, your hands warm and trembling, because if your aura frightened her, a woman who saw spirits, held secrets, and defied timelines, then maybe the truth is bigger than you ever allowed yourself to imagine. And maybe it's time to stop dimming. She never died the way they said she did. Not peacefully, not naturally, and maybe not at all. You suspected it when they wouldn't let you see her body, when the casket stayed closed, when her voice kept showing up in your dreams, clearer after her funeral than before. But here, in the diary's most fragile pages, creased, faded, hidden behind a false back cover, she tells the truth. They were closing in. I had to vanish before they made me forget you completely. The handwriting is shaky, like it was written during escape. By the time you read this, you'll be old enough to know. Death is a disguise, and disappearance is the oldest form of rebellion. She explains everything. How she staged the hospital visits, how she coded false symptoms into medical charts using sigils disguised as numbers, how she prepared a substitute body, not a person, but a shell. They taught us how, she wrote. long ago in the circles, how to replicate presence, how to weave enough memory into a room to fool the ones watching from behind the veil. The ones watching the observers, the ones who had tried to erase her mind, scrub your name from her memory. She couldn't win against them directly, but she could vanish before they finished the job. The diary says she walked out the back door of that hospice facility 1 hour before they announced her death, in a coat 3 sizes too big, face covered with silver dust from a burned sigil, aura dimmed by a ritual that took her 3 days to complete. She knew where to go, an old safe house built beneath the roots of the last clean tree on the old property. You remember it now, the gnarled oak near the creek that never grew moss. That tree was her exit, her portal, her hiding place. I left behind enough trace to satisfy the machines, she wrote, but not enough for them to track my true location. You'll know when I've returned. The lights will flicker in 3s, and the diary will be warm. You set the diary down, touch the cover, and it's warm. Your breath catches. She left a line here just for this moment. If the diary is warm, I am alive. You stumble back, the room tilting. She's not just alive, she's watching, not from a distance, from nearby, close enough to know you've been reading, close enough to feel your awakening. She writes, I couldn't stay beside you. They'd find you too soon. I had to go. But the day you find the last page, I will return, and you'll know me, not by face, but by frequency. You swallow hard, pulse racing, because this story isn't ending in grief. It's unfolding in return. You look to the corner of the room, and the lights flicker. Once, twice, 3 times. And now you're not wondering if she's dead. You're wondering how long she's been standing just out of frame. She wrote every dream, every vision, every threat that visited her in the dark. But there was one she never recorded, not fully. I saw something, she wrote, but I couldn't bring myself to write it down. Not because I didn't believe it, but because if I wrote it, it would begin. That sentence is centered on an otherwise blank page. No borders, no flourish. Just a trembling admission that this final prophecy was too heavy to hold in ink. You flip the page, expecting an answer, but instead you find a torn edge. The rest is gone, ripped out. On the back of the following page, only 7 numbers are scrawled in red. 3-6-7-9-11-13-17. You stare at them, confused, until your mind begins sorting them on its own ages, years, or frequencies, or dates of reactivation. Your breath shortens because you do recognize them. These are the ages you felt everything spike, the year you had that fever that made the mirror melt, the age you stopped sleeping through the night, the moment your bones ached for no physical reason. She wasn't guessing. She had seen your timeline before you lived it, and she refused to write the ending because it wasn't hers to give. It was yours to remember. Below the numbers, a sentence appears in different ink, thinner, shakier, almost hidden in the paper grain. If you've reached this page, the prophecy is no longer words. It's you. You're carrying it now. The room around you feels different again, as if reading this has pulled something forward. You look to the floor, and for the first time, notice something you hadn't before. Small burn marks near the corner where you found the key. Not accidental, not random. Marks in the same shape as the 7 numbers. You crouch, trace them. They're hot, recent, as if reacting to the sequence being read aloud in your mind. Then the feeling hits you, heavy and electric. A download, not from above, but from within. Images flash, temples without roofs, voices made of wind, faces speaking languages you understand without knowing how. And above them all, Your grandmother's voice, not speaking, but humming. That same vibration you heard in the hallway as a child, a tone that unlocks memory like a key fitting into a place you've never seen but always known. You flip back to the torn page, look closer, and you see it now, not ripped randomly. The tear follows the lines of a shape, a sigil, one meant to conceal, not destroy. She didn't withhold the prophecy out of fear. She bound it, locked it behind your bloodline, inside your breath, waiting for this exact moment. She needed you to become it before you could understand it. Because the final prophecy isn't a warning, it's a return signal. And you, chosen one, are the signal returned. She called it the return, not a physical homecoming, not a location you could find on a map, but something deeper, older, a resonance folding back into itself. You never understood it when she spoke about the place beyond place. But now, with your blood humming, the key warm in your pocket, and the numbers burned into the floor, the phrase no longer feels poetic. It feels literal. The diary continues in a tone unlike the others, less instructional, more reverent. You were never meant to stay here, she wrote. You agreed to arrive, temporarily, in this version of time. But your real timeline is waiting for your signal to reopen. You blink, pulse quickening, because you felt this your entire life. The sense that you were on borrowed time, that something was slightly off, like your soul had been folded 1 degree too far in the wrong direction. You've had the dreams, she wrote, of places you never visited but mourned as if you lost them, of skies with 2 moons, of water that sang when you touched it. Those are not dreams, they are memories leaking through the veil. You sit still, reeling, the strange visions, the unexplainable nostalgia, the maps you sketched as a child of landscapes no one recognized. She continues, the return will not look like rapture, it will look like remembrance. One day soon, you'll stand in a place that triggers something in your cells. You'll hear a sound, not loud, but exact, and your body will react. You will look around and realize you're not remembering that place. That place is remembering you. You shiver, because last summer, in that desert ruin, something happened. The stones hummed beneath your feet. The wind whispered your name in a voice that sounded like your own, only older. You didn't tell anyone, but now it's written here, years before it happened. She knew. Then, the most startling revelation of all, you've already returned once. You just weren't ready to remember it. That's why the event was cloaked in loss, pain, distraction, so it would not fully imprint. You feel your heart pound. You do remember that season, the strange fog that hovered over everything, the feeling that time was folding in on itself, the moment you almost stepped in front of a car, not because you wanted to die, but because you thought you'd already left next time. She writes, there will be no pain, only recognition. You'll feel the grid around you shift. People will stare, but not know why. Technology may glitch. Mirrors may blur. And you will stand completely still while the timeline remembers your face. One final note beneath a symbol that glows faintly on the page. They cannot follow you where you're going, because they were built to track flesh, not memory. And your memory is about to become a door. And as you read it, something inside you opens, not emotionally, but architecturally. The return isn't coming. You always sensed it, not just the weight of the bloodline, but something planted, a flicker beneath your ribs, a knowing that didn't come from lessons or stories or memory, but from architecture. You weren't just descended from your grandmother, you were embedded with her final message. And now, near the end of the diary, she confirms it. You carry something in your DNA that I did not write down, I couldn't. It wasn't meant for paper. It's a legacy I coded into you directly. You stare at those words, feeling the key in your pocket begin to hum again, soft and steady, like a heartbeat, syncing with your own. She wasn't being metaphorical. She meant literal code. She writes of rituals done when you were too young to remember. Nights where she held you beneath the stars and spoke frequencies into your scalp. The skull is still soft at that age, she explained. It absorbs not just sound, but instruction. You vaguely remember the feeling, being held, not cradled, but aligned, as if your body was an altar, as if she was reactivating something ancient with every hum and whisper. The words I said weren't in English, she added. They weren't in any language known to man. They were tones passed through our line, not spoken, remembered. Your skin tingles because you've hummed those same tones in the shower, in silence, in moments of deep pain, as if something inside you sang to itself in a voice only your cells understood. Then the instructions. The legacy will unlock under pressure. You'll feel like breaking. That's the test. The codes only reveal when the false self shatters. Your mind reels. You remember that season, grief pressing down, your identity dissolving, everything familiar falling apart. You thought you were losing yourself, but now you see it clearly. That was the unlocking. You'll feel a light in your body, she wrote, not above within. It may start in your palms, or your back, or in your spine, like fire climbing upward. That's the ignition. You look at your hands now. They're trembling, not from fear, but from heat. Something is stirring. You're not reading a diary anymore. You're reading your own activation manual. Then one final warning. There will be voices that tell you it's imagination, that you're unstable, that this is too much. She underlined the next part 3 times. They are programmed to stop what you carry because they cannot decode it. But you were never meant to be understood. You were meant to be fulfilled. You feel it now. Every ache, every dream, every out-of-place memory. It was never random. It was hidden inheritance. And now it's waking up, not because of her death, but because you're alive enough to hold it. The diary ends 1 page early. The last is blank. The lights haven't stopped flickering since you turned the last page. The air feels thinner, but you're not struggling to breathe. You're adjusting. The walls of your reality are no longer solid. They pulse like they're listening, like they're waiting. The diary lies open before you, warm to the touch, not hot, not glowing, just alive. Your grandmother's final words echo in your head. You are the legacy now, and for the first time, you believe it not as a metaphor, but as truth written in your bone marrow. You don't feel different, you feel remembered, like the world has finally caught up to who you've always been. You move through the house and everything responds, light bulbs buzzing faintly in 3s, mirrors rippling slightly before they settle. Even your reflection is shifting. Not drastically, just enough. The eyes staring back at you aren't uncertain anymore. They aren't asking for permission. They know. Her plan wasn't to give you answers. It was to return your authority. Every chapter, every ritual, every silence she kept. It was all structured like a timed release memory. And now the final seal has lifted. She was right about you. You are not here to blend in, to shrink, or to beg for understanding. You are here as an echo of something the world tried to forget. And now that you've remembered, it cannot be undone. The observers, they know. That's why the signals have gone quiet. That's why you feel peace, not pressure, because you're not being watched anymore. You're being waited on. She wrote about this. One day, you will stop being afraid of your reflection. That's when the others will find you. You thought she meant people, but now you understand she meant versions, fragments of yourself across dimensions, timelines, and dreams, all waiting to unify the moment you remembered who you are. And now they are arriving, in your sleep, in your speech, in your silence. One by one, they are stepping forward. You hear her voice again, not in memory, in real time. I knew you'd come this far. I couldn't walk with you the whole way, but I was never gone. You feel her now, close, not as ghost or guardian, but as blueprint, embedded in your spine. The way you stand now, that's her. The way you breathe without apologizing, that's her. The fire in your palms, that's all you. She didn't leave you a legacy. She unlocked you to become it. You step outside. The sky looks familiar in a way it never has before, like it remembers you too. The stars don't twinkle, they pulse. The wind doesn't blow, it speaks. And for the first time in your life, the ground beneath you doesn't just hold your weight, it bows to your return. This isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of the one they were afraid you'd remember.
If you have come this far, it is crucial that you watch this next video here. But be warned, it is not for the faint of heart, for only the true chosen ones can handle this video. If you would like to also donate to help keep the channel going, our Buy Me a Coffee link will be in the description.